Senator Richard Blumenthal is raising concerns about a potential $400 million State Department purchase of armored Tesla Cybertrucks. In a letter to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Blumenthal, the ranking member on the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, cited concerns about conflicts of interest due to Elon Musk's dual roles and influence. He also highlighted the Cybertruck's reported reliability issues and recalls suggesting it might not be suitable for the State Department's needs. Blumenthal is demanding answers and documents related to the proposed deal by February 21st. He also has opened a preliminary inquiry into Musk's companies. A senior administration official claims the contract was proposed during the Biden administration. The State Department is declining to comment on the congressional correspondence. Musk, who also leads SpaceX and X and heads the newly created Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, has significant government contracts and has previously been a contributor to Trump's political campaign. The deal is under increasing scrutiny due to vehicle reliability concerns and conflict of interest questions. Good evening. We lead tonight with developing news regarding mass firings of federal employees. Probationary workers across various agencies are expressing shock and anger after receiving termination notices. These employees, many dedicated to public service, report receiving impersonal emails stating their skills don't fit agency needs. One attorney with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau shared that notices cited probationary regulations, stating employees were not fit for continued employment because their ability and skills do not fit the agency's needs. A former Department of Veterans Affairs employee, a veteran federal worker, revealed his termination letter cited his further employment was not in the public interest. These firings are part of the Trump administration's effort to downsize the federal government, aiming to cut wasteful spending and make the civil workforce more responsive to his policies. Critics argue these terminations will negatively impact the government's ability to provide essential services. We will continue to follow this story and provide updates as they become available. The AI landscape is shifting as major players like Baidu and OpenAI announce free access to their advanced chatbot services. This move comes as competition intensifies, particularly following the emergence of Chinese startup DeepSeek, whose AI models are proving to be formidable contenders. Baidu's Ernie bot, offering features like AI painting, will be available for free to all users starting April 1st. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman followed suit, announcing unlimited free access to their newest AI model, GPT-5, although paid subscribers will gain access to a higher intelligence level. Baidu plans to launch the next generation of its AI model by the end of June, and for the first time, it would make that edition of the model open source, like all of DeepSeek's models. These announcements reflect the competitive pressure in the AI race, with established giants facing challenges from innovative startups. Baidu's stock saw a significant jump following the announcement, highlighting investor confidence. This trend towards free access could democratize AI usage and accelerate innovation across the industry. The AI landscape is shifting as major players like Baidu and OpenAI announce free access to their advanced chatbot services. This move comes as competition intensifies, particularly following the emergence of Chinese startup DeepSeek, whose AI models are proving to be formidable contenders. Baidu's Ernie bot, offering features like AI painting, will be available for free to all users starting April 1st. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman followed suit, announcing unlimited free access to their newest AI model, GPT-5, although paid subscribers will gain access to a higher intelligence level. Baidu plans to launch the next generation of its AI model by the end of June, and for the first time, it would make that edition of the model open source, like all of DeepSeek's models. These announcements reflect the competitive pressure in the AI race, with established giants facing challenges from innovative startups. Baidu's stock saw a significant jump following the announcement, highlighting investor confidence. This trend towards free access could democratize AI usage and accelerate innovation across the industry. President Trump is pushing forward with his plan for reciprocal tariffs, directing agencies to investigate implementing new taxes on imports from countries that he believes unfairly tax American goods. Commerce Secretary nominee Howard Lutnick expects the investigation to be completed by April 1st, leaving Trump to then decide on implementation. Trump argues this move aims to level the playing field and address trade deficits, particularly targeting nations with value-added taxes. Trump specifically called out India, citing high tariffs on U.S. motorcycles. He suggested potential avoidance of new tariffs if India increases production within the United States. The White House insists the U.S. is one of the most open economies, while trading partners maintain closed markets, contributing to trade imbalances. This announcement arrives as Trump prepares to meet with Indian Prime Minister Modi, raising questions about the future of trade relations and the potential for escalating trade tensions, especially amidst concerns surrounding inflation. In a bold move, the OpenAI board of directors has rejected a $97.4 billion purchase offer led by Elon Musk. This decision underscores the ongoing tension between Musk and OpenAI regarding the company's direction. Musk, a co-founder of OpenAI, has been critical of its shift towards a structure that prioritizes fundraising and investor returns, arguing it betrays its original non-profit mission. OpenAI board chair Brett Taylor stated the company is not for sale and reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. The Musk-led group proposed returning OpenAI to an open-source, safety-focused entity, a vision that clashed with the current trajectory. While Musk's camp expresses disappointment and questions the board's fiduciary duties, OpenAI remains steadfast in its commitment to its restructured path. This rejection marks another chapter in the complex relationship between Musk and the company he helped create, highlighting the contrasting visions for the future of AI development and deployment. Good evening. We're leading tonight with a surprising dip in U.S. retail spending. For the first time since August, consumer spending fell sharply in January, declining by 0.9%. This downturn, reported by the Commerce Department, significantly undershot economists' predictions and follows an upwardly revised gain in December. Several factors are at play, including persistent inflation, which continues to squeeze household budgets, and severe weather conditions that hampered economic activity. Specialty stores and auto dealerships experienced the most significant declines, with spending down 4.6% and 3% respectively. While restaurants, bars, and department stores remained in positive territory, a core measure excluding volatile components also showed a decline. The fall in retail sales is concerning, given that consumer spending drives approximately 70% of the U.S. economy. The Federal Reserve's cautious approach to interest rate cuts, amid stickier-than-expected inflation, further complicates the economic outlook. Looking ahead, proposed tariffs could exacerbate inflationary pressures, potentially impacting consumer spending even further. The Airbus A321XLR is poised to revolutionize air travel, opening up new routes and connecting smaller cities across the globe. Aer Lingus is leading the charge, launching non-stop flights from Dublin to Nashville thanks to the aircraft's extended range. The A321XLR, a variant of the A321neo, boasts the longest range of any single-aisle plane while burning 30% less fuel per seat. This efficiency allows airlines to serve destinations previously deemed too risky for larger, wide-body aircraft. With over 500 orders, airlines like Air Canada, American Airlines, Qantas, and United are eagerly awaiting their XLR deliveries. It's a game-changer for transatlantic routes, potentially replacing aging Boeing 757s and enabling airlines to bypass major hubs. United Airlines, for example, plans to introduce service to 10 to 12 new cities in Eastern Europe and North Africa from Newark and Dulles. The A321XLR promises more direct flights and new travel possibilities. Good evening. Ahead of critical U.S.-Russia talks in Saudi Arabia regarding the conflict in Ukraine, the Trump administration is signaling a potential shift in policy, raising concerns among European allies. The administration's approach has been interpreted as offering key concessions to Vladimir Putin, potentially undermining Western unity and casting doubt on the U.S. commitment to defending Europe. Conflicting statements from Trump aides have fueled worries that the president might prioritize any deal with Putin, even if if it negatively impacts Ukraine or European security. There are anxieties that the U.S. may exclude European allies from peace talks despite their expected contributions to security guarantees and troop deployments. President Trump's suggestion of a meeting with Putin very soon and the possibility of Ukraine's exclusion from critical talks have heightened these fears. A U.S. delegation, led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, will engage in talks hosted by Saudi Arabia. Rubio characterizes the meetings as an initial step, emphasizing that the coming weeks will determine the seriousness of the situation. Good evening. A recent phone call between former U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin has triggered alarm across Europe regarding a potential peace deal for Ukraine. European leaders fear a dirty deal could be struck, favoring Moscow, without Ukraine's full participation. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated Ukraine will not accept a deal negotiated solely by the U.S. and Russia, emphasizing the need for Ukrainian involvement. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas echoed these concerns, warning against a quick fix and stressing the importance of European involvement in any peace negotiations. Trump's announcement of immediate deal negotiations has caught European leaders off guard, raising questions about the future of European security and the role of the U.S. within NATO. Concerns are mounting that Washington may broker the deal, potentially benefiting economically, while Europe shoulders the financial burden of implementing any settlement. The situation remains fluid, and European nations are scrambling to ensure their voices are heard in shaping Ukraine's future. President Trump is pushing forward with his plan for reciprocal tariffs, directing agencies to investigate implementing new taxes on imports from countries that he believes unfairly tax American goods. Commerce Secretary nominee Howard Lutnick expects the investigation to be completed by April 1st, leaving Trump to then decide on implementation. Trump argues this move aims to level the playing field and address trade deficits, particularly targeting nations with value-added taxes. Trump specifically called out India, citing high tariffs on U.S. motorcycles. He suggested potential avoidance of new tariffs if India increases production within the United States. The White House insists the U.S. is one of the most open economies, while trading partners maintain closed markets, contributing to trade imbalances. This announcement arrives as Trump prepares to meet with Indian Prime Minister Modi, raising questions about the future of trade relations and the potential for escalating trade tensions, especially amidst concerns surrounding inflation. Tensions are rising within NATO as the Trump administration signals a potential shift in policy towards Ukraine and Russia. At a meeting in Brussels, the new U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, cast doubt on Ukraine's path to NATO membership, stating it's not a realistic outcome of negotiations. This contradicts previous NATO statements. European allies are attempting to downplay the divergence, emphasizing their continued commitment to Ukraine. However, Trump's earlier comments questioning Ukraine's future and Hegseth's skepticism about reclaiming pre-2014 borders have created unease. Analysts suggest the U.S. is prioritizing its own interests, potentially leaving Europe and Ukraine to navigate the consequences. The shift raises concerns about the alliance's unity and its approach to the ongoing conflict. Good evening, I'm Anchor Name. Former President Donald Trump's call for interest rate cuts has been met with market resistance following a hotter-than-expected inflation report for January. Just ahead of the report's release, Trump urged the Federal Reserve to lower rates, suggesting it would complement his proposed tariff policies. However, investors reacted sharply to the data, which revealed accelerating price growth. Stocks dipped, and borrowing costs increased, signaling expectations that the Fed will maintain higher interest rates for a longer duration, possibly extending into 2025. Economists now predict a more cautious approach from the Fed, with some suggesting rate cuts may be delayed until December or potentially scrapped altogether. The market's assessment of the likelihood of the Fed holding steady on rates has jumped significantly. Some analysts are even floating the possibility, albeit unlikely, of further rate hikes from the central bank, underscoring the ongoing uncertainty surrounding the trajectory of inflation and monetary policy. We will continue to monitor these developments and bring you the latest updates. Good evening. A significant shift in transatlantic relations is underway as the U.S. signals a change in its foreign policy priorities. President Trump's recent call with Vladimir Putin has sparked controversy, with discussions focusing on ending the war in Ukraine and potential presidential visits. Simultaneously, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth delivered a stark message in Brussels, urging European allies to take greater responsibility for their own security. This development underscores Trump's America First approach, viewing alliances through an economic lens and prioritizing domestic concerns. While the U.S. reaffirms its commitment to NATO, a clear message is being sent. European nations must invest more in their own defense. Hegseth emphasized that the U.S. will prioritize its rivalry with China and border security, indicating a potential scaling back of its traditional role in European security. This shift is forcing European governments to confront difficult choices, balancing social spending with increased military investment. The message from Washington is clear. The era of unquestioned American support may be coming to an end, marking a new chapter in transatlantic relations. Former President Donald Trump claims negotiations to end the Ukraine war will begin immediately following a phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump described the conversation as lengthy and highly productive, marking their first known contact since Trump returned to office. Trump stated that he and Putin discussed a range of topics, including Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, and the strength of the dollar. Both leaders reportedly expressed a desire for closer collaboration and potential visits to each other's countries. Trump says that respective teams will start negotiations immediately, beginning with a call to Ukrainian President Zelensky to inform him of the conversation. Both Washington and Moscow described the call as conciliatory. The Kremlin confirmed the discussion lasted nearly 90 minutes. The development comes as the Trump administration signals its intention to swiftly resolve the conflict, potentially building on recent prisoner exchanges. Good evening, I'm Anchor Name. The U.S. is signaling a potential shift in its approach to the Ukraine conflict. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stated at a NATO meeting in Brussels that aiming for a return to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is unrealistic. This marks a significant departure from the previous Biden administration's focus on a complete Ukrainian victory. Hegseth emphasized that pursuing this goal would only prolong the war and increase suffering. He advocated for a realistic assessment of the battlefield, suggesting the U.S. may now support negotiations that could involve Ukraine ceding territory already seized by Russia. Secretary Hegseth is part of a high-level Trump team currently touring Europe to discuss the new administration's approach to the conflict. This